And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last reading session of the slow read of Adulthood Rites. It is
to the last reading session
is happening
of the slow read of Adulthood Rites.
Oh, wow. That scared me. So welcome to the last reading session for Adulthood Rites. For those who are watching the replay, I'm Njeri. I am one of the three hosts for the Octavia E. Butler slow read. We have been reading together as a global collective for over a year now. Our first Our first slow read live show was in September of 2020, which was for Kindred, and we've been reading bi-monthly with each other since then. Our live show is going to be taking place tomorrow, and we will be discussing Adulthood Rites. So this is the last slow read session where we read. So if you are watching later, feel free to use the reading sprints as a way to, get you where you need to go. And if you're here now, so great to see you. Hello, Carol. All right. So let me just, I have to do a couple things while people come into the environs. Let me get my book, and we are going to be doing 3 30-minute sprints. So I'll get my timer. I am super excited to see what is in store for us today and how this story is going to end, because it is in a very good place right now. So yes. Okay. I know I'm going to give folks a little bit of time, maybe like a minute or so to get in. Hi, Carol Bradshaw. Nice to see you. Thank you for rejoining us. Hello, Tomi, aka wife, who's sitting over there. Great to see you. Hello, Juanita. Thank you for joining. Hello, Brittany. Thank you for joining. All right. I'm going to grab my book. I am going to get some illumination. I'm going to just adjust that. And then we will start at, what time is it? It is 2 minutes after the hour. So we'll start at 5 after the hour. And we will finish our read, which is super exciting. So if you are in the chat, and if you are reading with us, please just let us know in the chat where you are right now in your reading. And if you want to share any predictions of how the story is going to end, do that as well. You're more than welcome to do that. And I'm just going to move a lamp over so we get better illumination. And I'm also going to adjust my laptop. So once I do that, we'll be ready to go. All right. Okay. Hello. I'm going to, I think, Latrice, you said you were going to join. No pressure if you don't want to, but the link is in the chat. If you would like to join on camera, that would be wonderful to have some company. But it's also up to you. Okay, just getting this lighting situation sorted. That feels like it's a little better.
You need anything?
Yes. Could you pass me? Actually, no, I'll just use this.
Do you want another pillow?
No, I'm good. Just
getting cozy,
giving the people a little bit more than they bargained for. Okay. All right. Hello, Christina. Christina, are you joining us? Are you going to join us on air? I say that like I'm a radio announcer joining us on air today. Okay. Let me get the angles right and such. Okay, so we're gonna start our first 30-minute sprint. Okay, everyone. So enjoy your reading or whatever it is you're doing right now, and we will see you in 30 minutes to chat it out. Okay. Share screen. I've got Celine Dion's it's all coming back to me. That song in my head. Oh gosh. Okay, everyone. Happy reading. See you in half an hour. Sorry about that. I remember someone saying that it was quite loud, the timer, but that's our first. That's our first 30-minute sprint. Hello, Latrice. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I can't really hear. I have to figure out my audio because I'm not hearing as well as I should. Let me just see if I can do something about that. Okay. I guess we'll just see. So, where are you, and how's your reading going? How are you feeling?
I'm really enjoying it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Where am I? Hold on. I'm still in part 3. I'm not sure if you said where you were. I am in part 3, almost at the end of part 5 of part 3 or chapter 3.
What?
However, this is broken
Wait,
up.
you're part 3 at the end of chapter 5?
Yeah.
Oh, I am on part 3 and I just finished chapter 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay. So we are pacing. And how are you, and everyone in the chat, where are you right now, and how are you feeling about what you've read? So Latrice, how are you feeling about what's happening right now?
I'm really enjoying it because I love world building. So for me, it's definitely a slower paced book, but I like it better because I can see all the things she's explaining. And I personally like that. I love to hear the inner dialogue of Aken. It's like my favorite. And then when he speaks to other people, how he assesses and analyzes it. So I'm really, really, really liking this one. This is one of my favorites that we've read so far.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the change that's happening in Akin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's a change or if it's just Akin becoming just maturing, but Akin is like very uncomfortable with the plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he questions the plan and is rebellious, and because he's so rebellious and because the Oankali are the way they are, like patient and firm, but very firm and unyielding, but also like oddly permissive as well. Like they kind of permit dissent, but they're also firm. I just think that it gives us like a lot of insight into them as an alien species. And you would have just read this, or you might be, there's something that happens in chapter 5, a conversation between Dishan and Akin, where Akin's like, what's gonna happen to these humans? Like, what's gonna happen to them? And I just feel like for people who find this story to be a commentary of colonization, I think that it is very satisfying in that way. So
I agree. And I like I guess, I think I've read that part, but the reveal of the truth, right? Because Nikaj was like, you need to tell him the truth. And now he finally knows the truth. And he's like, well, how am I supposed to feel about it? Because I have a human side, and now I understand what the humans think. And I have an Oankali side that I'm leaving to go explore more. But why did you leave such an important part out? Because now I understand why they resist. So it's getting really interesting to me because I really am intrigued on what's going to happen. I don't know what happens. She'll be back in a sec. How's everybody else feeling about it? Christina, is one of your faves? Yeah. Ah, there you are.
Bye.
Is your internet?
No, I like swiped right.
Oh.
And I'm like, bye, I guess. Yeah, so Christina. Yeah, I do think Akin is I'm team Akin right now. And I really like I have a lot of nostalgic feelings towards Tate. Not so much Gabe, but Tate.
Mhm.
And I just wonder, like, she's like a side character, but I wonder if she's going to be in the third book as well. Like, I don't know how far into the future the third book goes, but it's just interesting to see the different paths that different characters have taken, and where their thinking has evolved based on their circumstances. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do also find the biology and maturation of the Owen Collie a little confusing. So, like, what are the constructs? Who becomes male? How does that happen? And pairing and all that. Like, it's a little confused. It's very confusing to me. I don't fully understand it, but it's deeply satisfying. So I'm wondering about others. Geraldine, who else is here? Juanita, Carol. What's most intriguing to you? And I guess because this is our last reading session tonight before the live show, what themes would you like to explore in your groups if you come tomorrow to the live show? Like, what are the things you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about tomorrow, Latrice? Hi, Maria. Also, sorry, before you answer, if anybody wants to join to discuss with Latrice and I would love it. There is the link, so please come along. Yeah, Latrice?
I don't know. I gotta think about that one because I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I would like to talk about Akin's growth, definitely. I'm a little confused on how old he is at this point. Because I was like, okay, he was like really, really
20?
little. Oh, he's 20?
I thought
Did I miss that part? Because I was like, how old is he now?
I thought I saw something about his 20 years. So in chapter 1 of part 3.
Oh, I must have skipped over it and didn't really pay it
Yeah,
much
it's like,
attention.
Tino, listen to me. I hear the man swallow and licked his lips. He's 20, Sean. If he weren't showing some independence by now, I would be the one who was worried. And then Deshaun says, his human appearance is deceiving you. His 20 years are like 12 human years, less in some ways. But so he's like 20.
Got it. Because I was wondering, because he's running around having sex. So I was like, how old are you, little boy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah, I think anything that I want to talk about is probably going to be centered around Ken just because he is my favorite character and one of my favorites that we have seen from Octavia thus far. But other things like that, I have to think about it. I'm not sure. What about you?
I want to talk about the Owen Collie's project. We talked about that in Dawn, and I want to return to that and see what people think about it. Because there's this whole, like, are they benevolent? Like, the thing is, it's different when human, or maybe it isn't, right? Human beings are happy, getting along, everything's great, and then a ship descends, and then there's like alien colonization after first contact, right? Here, the humans did themselves in, and then the Owen Collie arrived, and they're engaged in a project, and like, does it matter that they showed up after humanity did itself in? Does that matter? Does that make their project more benevolent? Are they benevolent? After reading Adulthood Rites, do we feel differently about what the Owen Collie are doing? And then the other question that I have is more about the strategies employed by the different groups of humans and what we think about those strategies.
Okay.
And I feel like Octavia E. Butler's work, like if we look at the pattern of series, very similar elements to like groups of people dealing with an oppressive force or oppressive forces, trying to organize themselves and orient themselves in relation to hierarchy and power and control and domination, right? Certainly in Pattern Master. And all of the stories. So I'm seeing like similar themes here. And yeah, so that's kind of where I am. What I want to talk about.
I just thought of something else. What was it? Man, it's late. Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, it was good. It just left me.
Well, I was talking about Pattern Master and then domination, empowering communities, doing different things, and looking at the different strategies. And
I should have wrote this down.
oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It'll come to me. What was it? It has something to do with the aliens. I know that.
Okay. Write it down.
Yeah.
Or just
we'll talk about it next time.
Okay.
On the next break. Or I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. Put it in the chat when you remember. Okay, let's do another half an hour. I'll just reset this and turn off the alarm because that was a lot. And okay, we can read that while I'm setting
I
up.
remembered.
Yep.
I'm gonna need these humans to not be stealing these kids and then talking about how they want to resist because they can't have kids, but you want to steal their kids.
Yep.
That I want to talk about that.
Okay.
Because that's so annoying and ridiculous.
Yes. Let me actually write these things down. So what were the things we had? I wanted to talk about strategies employed by the humans. I wanted to talk about to the Owen Colley's project. You wanted to talk about the stealing of children, like the hypocrisy of
the construct children.
And
why is it necessary for them to steal them? I know they can't have children of their own anymore, but if you're going to resist, then you have to assimilate with your resistance without children. Why are you stealing their children? Yeah. What you said is perfect. Christina has a good one too about feeling different about the alien invasion.
Okay.
Humans are on the brink of extinction.
Yeah, she would feel different about the alien if we were not at the brink of extinction.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I remember reading about or hearing somebody say, like, did the Owen Colley come after, or were the Owen Colley part of why this happened in the first place? Yeah.
Question.
So, okay.
I thought Decange was going through that, was going to say that, because he at one point in that chapter he goes something about the humans didn't decide to go to war, and I was like, "Ooh, who did? You guys decided for them? Did you guys push their hand somehow?" So I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's start. Have a happy reading. Okay. See you all in 30 minutes. That was our second sprint. How's it going, Latrice?
Good.
Where are you at now?
I think I have like a page left of, where am I? Chapter 8.
Okay.
Where are you?
I am on chapter 2 of part 4.
Dang.
Yeah, it's because I'm hybrid reading, so
Oh, that's right. Okay.
yeah, and because I wanted to make sure that I read in the past, I'm doing something that I don't usually do, which is speed up the time. So right now I have 37 more minutes. It's moving faster than I would like it to, but it's sort of what I need to do because I won't be able to read after. I have stuff to do this evening, so I won't be able to read again. So I like have to finish in the next half an hour.
I got you.
Yeah. So everybody in the chat, where are you at? How are you feeling with what you're reading? How is it going? And what questions are emerging for you as you know, what questions emerged in that last sprint that you'd like to discuss tomorrow? So do you want to go first, Latrice?
One thing I find interesting is the necessity of being a triune kind of being. Like
Yeah.
the 3 part is very important. And since she draws a lot of things from biblical kind of, situations, I find that intriguing. And I think why I love this book so much is she's exploring it from a kin's point of view, but the language is better. So it's explained better. So even the part, like where the part that I am at, it's when he and his sibling, T, because I don't know how to say that long name, they're with the young Ulu. And that's like the part where I'm at. The way he's explaining the scent and what it's doing to draw them in is exactly how the humans were feeling. But I don't think the language in Dawn was there for me to understand why it was so inviting and why it was so repulsive at the same time.
Right.
So I think the language behind what she's using here is making a lot more sense to me. Maybe it's because he's younger and he's experiencing this for the first time and we're really starting to understand the purpose behind that, but I find it fascinating.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I find it fascinating too. I think it's because he's a blend. So when we read it in Dawn, we only read about it from the human perspective. And what's happening to him is an Owen Colley experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are understanding it from the perspective of an Owen Colley now. And it makes sense because there's nothing to question. It's not new. He instinctively knew that he had a sibling and that he was supposed to have a strong bond. And he knew that the Uloe would help, but didn't know exactly what that would feel like. Mm-hmm. And so and also like nothing was being taken away from him at that point. He was actually getting something, right? Because what was taken away from him was the ability to bond with his sibling, whereas for the humans, what was taken away from them was the ability to connect with somebody that they were sexually attracted to, and all of them were adults, so they had all known that. Mm-hmm. Whereas for Akin, he was deprived of the opportunity to know that, right? And it's interesting because the only group that hasn't had something taken away from them, like, is the Owen Colley. The constructs have had, like, are under control. The humans are under control, but the Owen Colley are able to follow their desires, to blend and to trade, and they're able to do that unfettered. So, yeah. You don't look frozen to me, and I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm frozen, but I'll just refresh when we go back or if we're done. Yeah, I definitely see that now because he's not necessarily a child, but he's going into adulthood. So, his expression and his thought pattern wouldn't be as us as fully grown, knowing the
Yeah.
difference between what's drawing us in sexually and how it's changing based off of where you are in your life. But yeah, I find her writing in this book particularly so much better than all of the other books that we've read thus
Mm.
far. So I'm wondering at what point she wrote this. I know we're reading it in like series order, but I don't know where she wrote this. But I can see the growth in the writing and the explanation of the writing, because a lot of things I feel like in the Patternist series, I loved it, but there were so many holes that I wish would have been filled. And this, I don't feel that way. I feel like there's necessary holes, but I can fill them with myself. But I don't know. I'm really loving this one.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's sometimes, unless the writing is really, really, really not well done, I don't really notice that much in terms of the change. I think the only book of hers that I really felt like, ooh, was Survivor, where I was just like, okay, this is confusing. This feels,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Well, I mean, we didn't know how young she was when she wrote it.
exactly, I have to meet her
So,
like that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I agree. That one was just off.
it was rough, but I still appreciated the story, but it was much more traditional. But anyway, we are here to discuss. I shouldn't have brought it up, but let's see what others are saying. So you finished chapter 9 part 3, Christina. Awesome. Maria, part 4 chapter 5. So you're at the tail end. And Maria says, that's a great insight, Latrice. I hadn't noticed that, but totally see it now that you pointed out. Christina, maybe Lilith felt that as an attraction. She just couldn't process it as smell, like pheromones. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's a
agree
really
with
good
that.
point. Yeah. Hey, Bree, nice to see you. Um, Maria, Akin's relationship with his sibling, loss of connection after his kidnapping, and discomfort trying to reconnect makes me think of folks trying to reclaim roots heritage. Ni de aquí ni de alla vives vibes. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm glad that it's there. So yeah, that feels good to me. And I think also, like, what I really enjoy about Akin's experience too is that he has so much empathy for what the humans have lost, and he's so aggrieved, right? Like, so aggrieved by what's going on and what's happening to the humans, and he can understand the loss and understand the violence of what the Oankali have done and are continuing to do by depriving them of having children and depriving them of continuing, until they submit. And the manipulation of, like, you guys, we can't let you reproduce. You're not ready. You can't do this. But you could if you joined us. We can make you fertile again if you join us. And it's just like, that's just like forced sterilization. Like, we've seen this, right? So you're on page 264. Thank you for the translation. I hope by the end, humans are allowed to have their Akjai like the Oankali. It's only fair. And if they kill themselves again later, that's their choice. Yeah. And what's the Akjai again? I think I missed that. Is that like a planet?
It's the
civilization?
it's the thing that
Pod?
it's like the teacher thing. So it's like the ship, a part of the ship that they take up, but it like teaches it teaches Akin and T on what to do. So it's like almost like their interpreter. I'm assuming that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
But it's actually a being outside of Onkali and Ulu. It's like one of the beings because Akin says he wants to make a human Ajar or whatever it's called.
Acti.
Yeah, so that they can reproduce again. Because he's like, hey, if you're showing me how to do this from an Onkali perspective, then the humans should be able to do it too, as
Yeah.
long as they're joined with me and I can show them how to do it. Yeah.
Okay, last comment, then we'll do our last 30 minutes. The Acti are the Onkali that don't permeate. They live on untouched. Okay.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
wonder where that is. Like, Christina, do you remember where that is?
Where
Maybe you just didn't
explained?
mark it down.
I feel like I saw it once, but
Oh, in case things go wrong, the species survives.
yeah.
Interesting. I don't remember that part, but it might have been just something we just glanced over, you know?
Yeah, I want to understand that
Yeah.
more. All right, friends, we're going to do our last sprint of 30 minutes. Happy reading. I'm just going to get us reset here.
I have to reboot, so I'll be back.
Okay. Happy reading, all. So that's 30 minutes. Where are you at? You're on mute.
I'm in the middle of chapter 11.
The middle of chapter 11. Is that what's the last chapter?
No, actually.
Okay, so the middle of chapter 11. Okay.
Is that the last chapter?
Of part 3?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the last chapter of part 3.
Did you finish?
I did. So what do people need? Do you think it would be good to do like another 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Oh, that's up to you. I know I'm not gonna finish on a live, but that's completely up to you.
Oh, it's 9. Yeah, I don't think I can do another one because it's 9. So okay, so folks in the chat, I think a couple folks were close to finishing. Maria, I think you said you had like 35 pages left, and so on. So maybe what we could do right now is just like hold space for like a pause. So maybe like what is, if you think about everything you've read up to this point, how would you describe what Adulthood Rites has done for the series, like for the Xenogenesis series, right? Like what is its function from your perspective in when you compare it to Dawn, and given that there's only one book left for the trilogy? Like how does it advance what we're doing here? Like this project. I think that might be a good place to sort of end, because it doesn't require us to talk about the story necessarily, but more to think about the story's function.
If you look at Dawn, we start with Lilith being an adult already, right? So understanding humanity from that point of view and how difficult it is to say adapt when you're given no other choice is very difficult for a human to do, right? Mm-hmm. If we were in that situation, we'd probably be resistors as well. Well, we're Black women, so we probably would adapt. But yeah. But in this story, we're taking a combination of a human and an Onkali child and taking it through its life, mm-hmm. and how he has to evolve and bring two worlds together. That's basically his purpose.
Yes.
So from a Rites point of view, he's struggling between being too old as a kid and being too young now as an older person, and trying to find that juxtaposition between the two and getting to his metamorphosis, because I haven't gotten there yet, so that he can finally be an adult, because he's even at the point where, God, no one listens to me because I'm not the adult.
Yeah.
It's like, I know more than I know. When I get to adulthood, even though you guys now know I want to make human Ajakai, it's necessary. We have to give them that option. But because I'm still a child, you don't listen to me. So I still have other people talking to me. So I'm at the point where at the end of this story, I need to see him as an adult, an Onkali adult, and how his voice changes the situation between humans and Onkali. And will they listen to him, or will they silence him again and do whatever they intend to do, versus actually giving people another option? Because if they have 3 options, if they have the folks who are in low, the folks that are on the ship, the T word, I can't think of how to say it, and then mm-hmm. they have the Akaj who are untouched. Well, it needs to be the same for the humans, right? You have the humans that are still on the ship who are asleep in the
pods,
those pod things. Then you have the humans that have agreed to adapt with you.
Mhm.
And then you have the resistor humans. So within the resistor humans, you need to allow them to grow and make their own choices. So it's going to be interesting to me to see, does that happen? And if it does, was that a right given to Akin because he was an adulthood and he can make that decision and have that voice? Or are the Onkali only saying all this stuff just to say it and still be sketchy and say, that's a great idea, but no. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I am.
I think like for me, the whole story, like I think like Xenogenesis is an answer. It's a first contact story. And I think what Butler is doing here is saying like, how can we have a first contact alien story written from the perspective or written partially from the perspective of somebody whose ancestors were also were colonized? And how do you tell this story and complicate it by the fact that alien invasion stories written from the perspective of those with privilege and those from colonizing nations are really bent on showing aliens as being something different from us. But when you tell a first contact story from the perspective of a people who has actually experienced alien groups coming through and dominating them, that complicates everything. And there are options other than complete annihilation and domination. And also, what is this earth you're trying to save? Right? Like, is it as good and as amazing? Or do you now need to think about starting over? And if you do, then what is that going to look like? So I feel like this adulthood rights, I do think that the adult or the coming of age is about Akin, but I also think that it's a coming of age of humanity.
Yeah.
And that, sorry?
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that it's like, okay, so you guys were all stupid children, and which are two mutually mutually exclusive concepts, but you were stupid. You were also children. Like you didn't know certain things, like you didn't know that aliens were real, you didn't know anything else. Now you do. We put you back in the womb.
That's good.
We could take you out, and what you gonna do, right? So I feel like adulthood rights is kind of like showing us that they have another chance, and it's not on their terms, but only very few humans get to live their entire lives on their own terms anyway. So what else is new? And so what are you gonna do with it? So I think that's
good.
You know. So we shall see how this wraps up. And then also, I was wondering if, like, at the end of the slow read, so in November, when we finish our last book, I really want to see how all the stories like speak to each other. So like what is the meta story that's being told from Kindred to the Patternists to Xenogenesis to the parables, and then Fledgling and Bloodchild, and then Unexpected Stories, like what's happening here for us, and how do we take the collected works all together and have those works in conversation with each other. So I'm super excited about that, and I'm definitely, Mars is a thing. Mars is a place that features in her work. So yeah, so I'm excited. Okay, let's see what others are saying. So okay, you talked about, okay, so part 4, chapter 7, 7 pages left in the book. So how did it end for you, Maria? Are you happy with the ending? Chapter 2, part 4, you won't finish today. That's fine. You have over 100 pages to read. That's cool. That's what tomorrow and tonight are for. You think Dawn was too introductory. You felt a bit unsatisfied with it. This one feels whole. Akeen's growth was enough. While I'm curious about Mars, I would be fine if the story finished now. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. You agree with Christina. Okay. Far behind, and you'll continue to read tonight. Okay. All right. So we'll give it a minute or two to see if anybody else wants to add anything. But just to let folks know who are watching, Latrice, if you have any other any announcements, feel free to share them. Okay. You really wanted Lilith to have the redemption that Anyanwu never got. Maybe here Akeen gets to find that redemption for her, and Lilith could only survive so her child could have that chance. Yeah. Something that Tati said when we were talking about the pattern in the series is that Octavia Butler's series, like each book, can be read as a standalone, but also they're generational sequels. So you never really see that character again, right? You'll see their legacy, but they won't be central anymore. So they come into focus and then they leave. And I think Akeen, and I don't know that we'll see Akeen again, right? Like, I don't know that we're going to see Akeen in book 3. We might go 40 years. He's your baby, I know. They might go 40 years into the future and they might be on Mars, and now we're dealing with a whole other person, right? That's her pattern, right?
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what she does with that. You really like how Lilith and Tino were so important for Akeen to see the rebel side. Yeah, definitely. So do you have any announcements, Latrice, or anything you want to say before we end?
No, I'm really excited to see the end. I think we're gonna have a lot to discuss on Sunday. It's just there's so many angles, there's so many things to discuss. I mean, she really did that with this novel. She really did.
Yeah, this was I enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to read. So I'm excited about where we're gonna go in our discussion tomorrow. And so for everybody who's watching, just a couple of announcements. So first of all, the live show is going to be held tomorrow so that's Sunday, November, is it 28th or 7th? 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So you can get your ticket through Eventbrite. It's free, or you can give us a donation. And it's going to be a great time. It's usually around 2.5 hours where we talk about the book, break up into groups, and then come back and do my favorite part, which is the sound circle. So remember to tab what you want to read and all of that. Feel free to dress in a color that matches the cover of the book that you have, because we do selfie activity. So that is all going to happen tomorrow. And then if you are interested, I'm going to be hosting a vision board workshop, which I am now doing annually. And it is based off of and inspired by Octavia E. Butler's work. So this year it's going to be based off of Dawn. So I will have a link in the description below, and there will be a discount code for people who have participated in the Octavia Butler slow read as well, and that'll be on January 2nd, 2022. So just to let folks know about that. Okay. Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you very much, Latrice, for joining me for the denouement, and I hope you enjoy the end of the book. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you're in my group, because I always love when you're in our small group. So yes. All right, everyone. Have a really good evening. Read with purpose, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.